Burgess. Hello, everybody. This is the Ortelius architecture meeting for July 22nd. I just put the link over to our doc, the Google Doc, in the chat. And I think we're going to get through this pretty quick. Let me get to that document. Do it that way. Alrighty, so I just lost my mouse. Hang on. There it is. Is anybody having problems with the new version of Chrome where it locks up?
I am. It doesn't lock up. I just have all kinds of weird, unexpected things happening.
So for me, my mouse just locks up randomly when I'm on over a web page. Makes it hard. So just to kind of wrap up some of the stuff, Idakars, you got the Swagger in place, which is great. I've incorporated that into the front end. So that is coming along pretty good. I do need to, one of the things I realized I needed to do the way the Swagger API works is to host, basically serve up a page instead of JSON. So that's one thing I'm tweaking on that, that microservice to the get part of the microservice is to return the actually the URL in the file, so it can be inserted into the Swagger JavaScript. So that's working out really well. Thank you for finding that and putting that together. Let me just add a few.
Yeah, welcome, Steve.
And then on the CVE part, that part, the microservices on the back end are looking pretty good. I did change them up slightly to follow more along the same lines that Idakars did for the Swagger. So made a slight change to those microservices to be a little more consistent. It's when we first started we had a different plan in mind, but the kind of like a dynamic design here. The README for the that's being added to. So in the same token as the Swagger, the README file that we pick up out of the Git repo. So when we have a Python program that is, what it does is basically it's like our CLI interface. Let me actually bring it up so you can know where it is. So if you look at pypy.org, this is where we deploy it to. Right now it's named Deploy Hub. It actually is part of the open source side. That's one of the things I have to figure out is how we can go about deprecating the Deploy Hub one and replacing with the Ortelius one. But basically, it allows us to do a couple different actions. One of the actions is to update a component. So when we update a component, we get to pass in different attributes. So we can see like the README here. I haven't pushed out the latest code for the Swagger piece, but it's in my testing side of things. So this basically Python command line which fits into your Jenkins pipeline really easy, basically as a shell command. Or we do have a full Jenkins library, Groovy library, but that is if you want to do more coding and have a little more flexibility. So it's kind of like a trade-off. The command line is simpler to use, little restrictive, or you can use the Groovy library, which is very open on what you get to do, but it's a lot more work in your Jenkins pipeline piece. So this program here, if we actually go over to the code, lives in this repo over here called comp update. Come on. So it is mainly in the deploy hub directory. This is where the API library is. Basically, this does all the RESTful API calls that we need to make. So if we need to like log in, it wrappers the login for us. So this is where we start interacting with the microservices for like the Swagger and the README. So one of the things that we actually do is we go and look to see if a README exists for the repo. We grab it and we push it up through the microservice on the back end, which stores it into the database. And then from there, we render it using a different couple JavaScript libraries. So the Swagger gets rendered with the Swagger JS code, and the README, there's a plugin I found that will translate Markdown into a renderable HTML code. Both of them work really nice because all we have to do is provide a basically a document tag where we want the HTML pulled in. So that's kind of what's happening on those two. The CVE front, Udikarsh, you want to talk about your Golang program that you wrote and how it kind of works?
Yeah. As you told, what I have done, given a image name of the Docker file, I can scan all the dependency that was used in the Docker file. So, and after scanning, that will create that will generate two files basically. So one of them is all the SBOM materials, and the other one will be CVE file. So the next task will be to copy all those generated files to the host environment. So that is done. So currently I'm just looking into if I have to use Docker pull or something, because I don't know like how you build those Docker files in the production environment.
Yeah, so it's the two tools that we started out was Cyclone DX for Python.
Yeah, and security.
And what was the other one? Safety.
Safety, sorry. Yeah.
So these two scanning tools allow us to grab that information as part of it out of an image. And the tricky part that we ran into on that front is we don't know what somebody's image, we can't hook into the build part. We're going to assume during the pipeline process that when we're back in, let me bring up a Jenkins pipeline real quick, if I can find one. Where is email? There it is. Yeah. So this is kind of the typical interface between Ortelius and the Jenkins pipeline. So this is calling that command line program I was talking about, the one we were just looking at. So this is the Python program where we go and passing in all the attributes to update. Here's the README getting passed in. So when we do a Docker build, a company's not going to allow us to manipulate their Docker build file. So we let them go ahead and do their typical build and do that type of information. Now, what we'll do here is we'll put in right before this step, being able to scan, use Utkar's Golang program to go ahead and scan the image that was built. And what this gives us the ability is to really look at an image and not be dependent upon a Docker build. So we could do that at the time of creation. So like when we're doing here, or if we're going to actually deploy, you may build today and you may deploy tomorrow. In this Jenkins file, I do it back to back. So I do the build and then the deploy, but the deploy step may come down the road. And that's where we would actually add in the scan here. When we go and deploy, we know what image version that we're deploying, and we pull that scan at that time. So we have a couple options here, but that's how it's going to fit together as part of this process. So it's going to be really nice to be able to have not only the CVE information, but also the license information. Basically, it's a dependency graph of what's in the container image. Now, some of the other scanning tools that we'll probably need to add. We need Trivy. I don't know if any of you have heard of that one. Trivy does like RPMs and what is it? Debian files. And then we need to find, I think there's Cyclone DX for .NET. We need to add this onto a for .NET microservices, and probably Golang as well. Those seem to be the top ones for now. So the little scanning wrapper that we've made, it is just a starting point. So we'll continually build upon it as part of that process, and it'll allow us to really get deep into the dependencies. So what we'll end up having is when we do a build, so if I go back over to my build here, I'm building a new component version. So this is where I'm actually figuring out the component version name and stuff like that. So we're actually going to have a new component version that gets created on the Ortelius side. And when we do that, we want to associate all the CVE and the dependencies of the container back into Ortelius. So it's coming along really nicely. Great job, Utkarsh. And it's like I said, we'll keep on adding to it, but for now we're going to kind of solidify around Python and maybe the Trivy as a starting point. This does produce a lot of data. The other one would be Node.js. Oops.
Yeah, so actually I tried with a couple of more commands. So we can execute any number of commands there. to generate whatever we want
Oh, nice.
from.
And do we need to put in, is it a different Cyclone library that we need to install?
For Python.
No, for like Node versus Go or .NET.
Yeah, obviously for a different application, we would need a different code base. So
Okay.
just like I have written for a Python application, I'll keep on implementing for .NET and Go and Node based JS based applications.
Yeah. So if you look at it's a little bit tricky to find. Yeah. So all this is around a area called SBOM, software bill of materials. And so Cyclone DX and SPDX are the two main open source projects I found that focus on gathering license and CVE information. More so around the license side. So if you go to the tool center off of here, you'll see the different, plugins. So here's this is the one that we would and the weird part is it comes in two flavors. One is to generate the SBOM file. So like SPDX has a certain file that you associate with a package. So they're trying to standardize on the tags that you use to describe a package. So there you'll run into some tools that will look at your code base and generate those for lack of a better word, configuration files for the SBOM or SBOM definition files. And then there's the second side, which is actually scanning the tool, the code base. And I think we use this one here, Cyclone DX for Python, was the one that we are using to grab that. Let me see if that's the one. Yeah, I think that's
yeah, this is the one.
Yeah. So when you're looking at this page, just be aware that some of it is for scanning and some of it is for actually getting it set up. So like this one, the Cyclone DX for Go, and this one, you actually have to go ahead and look at what the tools are doing to understand under the covers if they're a scanning tool or if they're a setup tool. So, and there's going to be other ones like I did try dependency track at one point, but it wasn't giving some of the detail I was looking for. The weird part is none of the tools that I found so far actually do everything all at once. So there's pieces like the Cyclone DX for Python will scan for all the licenses that is in your Python code, but it doesn't scan for the CVEs. So because of that, we had to bring in safety, which is a Python module that will scan for CVEs at that level. So we're going to have a mix of tools. So if you run across a tool that's a good scanning tool, put it out on the GitHub issues that you found it, because it's really a quest for these tools to figure out how we can bring them in and leverage them into Ortelius. Let me see if I have. Oh, let me switch over. See if I can switch this over so you can actually see it running really quick. What were you going to say? Okay. Oh, it switches over. So looks like we have a somebody new that has dropped in today. Stephen, you want to kind of introduce yourself and let us know what you're interested in and we can kind of introduce you to the group and kind of what we've been up to.
I'm sorry, me?
Yep, you. Introduce yourself.
Hi, yeah, Stephen Curry. Got a bit of a background in SRE, so I'm kind of just really just on here right now, just learning, honestly, about this process and stuff. So just happy to be here, really.
All right. Are you interested in like doing any coding, or just focusing on DevOps, or just kind of hanging out and watching, or?
Yeah, I'd be happy to do anything I can kind of help out with. Just a little busy at work right now, so but yeah, anything I can do to help, I've got no problem with.
Okay. Yeah, what we try to do, just an overall, we try to give the tasks to be relatively small, and then we just build upon those. So it's not like a task is going to take you 40 hours to work on or anything like that. We try to keep them small to, under, from 1 hour to 8 hours is what we try to work on. So we don't suck up everybody's time. And then we split that out across the people that are interested in doing coding and help out. Which time zone are you in?
Central.
Okay. All right. So for you, if you're interested, there is our Australian group. We meet at 4:30, so it'd be 5:30 Central Time on Thursdays. So, and the Australian working group has been working on GitOps around how to integrate Ortelius into the GitOps model, and they're focusing on Argo right now. So if you're interested in that, there'll be a second meeting today at 5:30 Central Time. Everything's recorded, so it's not like a requirement, but just to let you know that's happening out there. On that group, I got a message from Brad McCoy, who is running that group, and he said they made some interesting finds around the Argo, what they call application sets, and how that may simplify the YAML spread, the manifest spread on the GitOps side. So they do have a working Argo setup that they're playing with. So if you're interested in that, that's what's happening down under. So, all right, let's see. So the next things that we have, basically we're wrapping up. I'm pulling together the front end piece, pulling in the CVE and licenses into that process, and just wrapping up some of the Swagger pieces. So let me see if it's running, so I can give you a quick demo. So just to give you a little background, the Ortelius is still in the monolith world. It actually, all the new code is being done in microservices. So we actually are a hybrid type of application. Let me, there it is. See if I remember which component I was playing with. So because of that, the monolith piece is all written in Java, and it runs under Tomcat. All the new microservices that we've started with are Python Flask, and trying to keep those pretty small, a couple hundred lines long. I don't remember if this is it. Oh, there it is. So here is the Swagger pieces that we've, I just put in some dummy Swagger pieces, but so we have the whole Swagger UI, so you can interact with it and do your, try it out and things like that. So that is, live right there inside of the component version here. So one of the nice things that we're doing is the Swagger is being versioned along with the component. So as the Swagger updates and they change the contract, we'll be able to actually distinguish that there's been a contract change in, let's say, like one of the parameters or something like that. So that will be available to us down the road to leverage. You can see here, I've laid out the boxes for the CVEs and the license consumption. One of the things that we kind of need to make a decision on that front is if we should list every single package and every single CVE, or if we should just list the CVEs that are in the container, and then like do a drill down if you want to see which packages are affected by that. So that's one of the things I'm going back and forth on from a front end side, is being able to, because we have the data showing which package is there. But like a simple hello world Node.js program has 1,500 packages if you just take a default Node.js install. So a lot of data that we end up gathering on that level. So one of the things that we will do once we have the CVEs and licenses at this level, we'll actually roll those up to the application level. So application versions are made up of component versions. And then from there, we can actually see, what are all the CVEs across all the components that my application is consuming, and what are all my licenses that I'm consuming for this application version. So, like one of the things that happened when we joined the CD Foundation is we had to provide a list of all of our licenses to the CD Foundation. Here it's just a simple point and click and we're good to go, instead of having to comb through source code to get that list. So that's kind of where we're at. It's coming along. I'm going to try to wrap up a lot of this in the next week or two. So we will be able to have a new release here shortly. And then we get to move on to component sets and the GitOps piece. It looks like the Australian group will be pretty close to giving us some design direction on where we need to go with GitOps.
I just want to remind everybody too that we have a lot of documentation yet to do on this effort.
Yeah.
And probably some testing. I don't think the testing's probably been.
No, it's still
complete.
We haven't moved it out yet. So and this is like small little stuff that we'll add in. The Ortelius docs, all of our documentation is in Markdown that is rendered through a Hugo server. So, like adding in the detail about the components, it literally is just updating a Markdown at that level. So we'll have a bunch of issues that we'll create around the documentation and updates. Usually these are, no more than a half hour to do, but things get scattered across all the different chapters. So if you're interested in just doing some real simple stuff, doing some documentation update would be definitely appreciated. But you'll see issues that come about. I think that's it. Anybody else have any questions or comments? Alrighty. Ukarsh, I have a couple meetings back to back this morning, and then I'll go ahead and look at your coding changes.
Okay.
So I'll get to that this morning as soon as possible.
Okay, that sounds good.
All right, everybody, thank you so much. And we'll be in touch. Oh, is there a general meeting on Monday or Tuesday?
I don't believe there is. I think that we're taking August off. No, that's not August yet. Let's look.
That's why it
Monday's
was.
the 26th. It looks like it is not on the calendar. Wait, Tuesday it's Tuesday, and we do have a general community meeting on Tuesday. And then we do not have a outreach meeting on Monday, but we do have a, looks like we've canceled the architecture meeting for the Thursday, the 9th too.
Okay.
Let's see, wait, that's September. I'm sorry, I got the wrong month here. Why is that looking like that? Okay, so today is, let me start over. Today is the 22nd, so next week would be the 27th. That's on. And then the next architecture meeting should be Thursday, August the 5th, and it is scheduled.
Okay.
So the architecture meetings will remain, but the general community meetings and the outreach meetings are being canceled for August to slow things down. And the purpose of the architecture meetings is just to get this documentation done and the release out.
All right, perfect. Well, thank you everybody for your help and dropping in today. And if you have any questions, just post them out on Discord and we'll chat there. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everybody.